In this video, I'll be talking about the Anonymous Psy-Op as well as the QAnon Psy-Op, and I'll be covering something called Covfefe Bakery. So this article, called the Chris Sky Psy-Op, is written by this mysterious Mr. E character. No idea who that is. However, he does maintain that Chris Sky is controlled opposition. However, I don't necessarily agree with all of the information presented. And it says that around mid-2020, someone going by the name of Henry Case, aka Covfefe Operations, appears to have set up over a dozen websites for Chris to disseminate his message through. Today, all these websites have been taken down, but the web archive preserves nearly everything, and it can be seen that in every case, sites were visually identical, sharing only different domains while maintaining the Covfefe Bakery and Operations branding. If you say so, because we will be looking at the web archive in this video. So we can see the Covfefe Bakery is incorporated at 565 Sherbourne Street, Unit 2709, and it's incorporated on March 8, 2021 by Isaac Von Hillier and Henry Case, and it's part of a division of Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada, ISED, as well as everything at the 565 Sherbourne Street address, which I find interesting. And as well, we see at a different address, 2146A, Queen Street East, Suite 101, we see the Line Civil Liberties Association incorporated there. And it's incorporated with Corporations Canada, a division of ISED Canada, once again. I've already done a video about the line, and you can check that out. It's called Draw the Line with the Line. So, Covfefe Operations is described by Henry Case here. It says it's a partnership that begun on September 4th, 2019, and it was incorporated on March 8th, 2021, to better serve the interests of the silent majority and protect the flank of our contributing members. It also is described as a grassroots NGO. However, nothing in the freedom community is truly grassroots, like I've said in virtually every video of mine. So, Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada, it works with Canadians in all areas of the economy and in all parts of the country to improve conditions for investment, enhance Canada's innovation performance, increase Canada's share of global trade, and build a fair, efficient, and competitive marketplace. We are the federal institution that leads the Innovation, Science, and Economic Development portfolio. And once you look closely at the portfolio, we can see here that basically these are all organizations that are on board with Agenda 2030, such as CanNor, FedDev, FedNor, which are 3 of the 7 regional development agencies, all 7 being on this list, that essentially are working on industry development, aka smart cities. And we have, for instance, the SSHRC here, which is where Maxime Bernier actually submitted research and analysis of data revolving around the social economy, which is a fancy way of saying Agenda 2030. And as if it wasn't self-explanatory enough here, it is partnered with Sustainable Development Technology Canada. So within the portfolio as well here, we have the Copyright Board of Canada, which is where I have the most questions and not too many answers. If people want to submit comments, please do, because I've asked about this before. We see names like Kevin Johnson, Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson, Rebecca Shepherd, and as well, basically what I'm getting at here is that all of these people have incorporated one of these bills, or they've copyrighted different bills and statutes for purposes unknown to me. As I have asked different people, they have said, oh, it's just some grift. However, I can't feel it's something that small. I think it's much bigger than that. Again, please comment. So, Isaac Von Hillier's LinkedIn page, we can see here basically with his background that he essentially has worked for different media outlets, and he has a background within digital infrastructure essentially. And as well, we're going to take a look at some of these organizations, but first I just want to say here that he is self-described as an anonymous patriot, and I guess he works for Henry Case here, or works for or with, I don't actually know. So and it's the same year, July 2017. I don't know offhand, but I'm pretty sure it's the year 2017 that there was the famous tweet that Donald Trump had released revolving around the term Covfefe. So the reason why I'm opening up this Toronto Star article here is just to show you that Isaac Von Hillier's name is in it. So he has appeared in mainstream news, and as well, these are some of the organizations which he has worked for. So Suke News Mirror, we can see some of their partners that they have here. For instance, it's owned by Black Press Media, which is another place that Isaac Von Hillier has actually worked for, and it's owned by somebody named David H. Black, and he owns a lot of media companies in northern and western Canada through this organization. And essentially, too, I just want to bring up the fact that the lead publisher, Rod Sluggett of Suke News Mirror, was invited to an event by the Rotary Club, so we can see that connection there as well. And then as well, the Island Press is one of the organizations that Isaac Von Hillier has worked for, and we can see here Sustainable Communities Urban Resilience Project. These are climate change impacts and adaptation. These are all different things that revolve around the 2030 agenda, and these are different organizations that Isaac has worked for. And now I'm going to be looking at the web archive, and I'm going to be looking at covfefebakery.org. So we can see that there are actually 27 times between April 19, 2021 and October 1st, 2022 that the website was crawled. And so for me to describe to you what website crawling is, it basically means that different times and dates that the website's info and links were indexed, essentially. So these are the amount of times that Wayback Machine actually looked into Covfefe. It's not a live representation of the amount of times or the exact date and time when a website changed slightly. That's just what I'm getting at here. So, Covfefe Bakery, I'm going to be looking at the website and showing you the banner here at the top. It says Operations and Intelligence, and if I scroll down, we can see some of the organizations and whatnot that they partner with. If I go down to what they describe as the Rebel Alliance when I get there, it essentially mentions some of the organizations that they partner with, which I have called out some of them, like Action for Canada, and as well The Line, and Mothers Against Distancing and Back to Work, which are Chris Sky related organizations. So anyway, moving back up, we see the banner. It says Covfefe Operations and Intelligence on the date of February 12th, 2022. Now, looking at this one, March 8th, 2022, it says Covfefe Bakery and Intelligence. So the banner has actually changed, contrary to what the Chris Sky Psy-Op article actually has to say. And then, moving forward, the next date here presented when the website loads, I'll show you how the banner has changed. It says April 5th, 2022, Covfefe Bakery and Operations. So I'm going to show you just an identical website. It's henrycase.org. It actually is exactly the same thing as Covfefe Bakery, just a different website name with different dates, and as well different times as well that the banner was changed. So we see February 4th, 2022, it says Operations and Intelligence. The next date, moving ahead, March 7th, 2022, it says Covfefe Bakery and Intelligence. And the final date change, which I'll cover here, the date it mentions here is April 6th, 2022. It says Covfefe Bakery and Operations. So I don't know if the term bakery is something within the intelligence community or what it is I'm looking at here, but I just figure that the website changing multiple times, I think it's worth me noting. And as well here, I'm going to point out Now I'm going to start talking about the QAnon Psy-Op, because the thing is people always like to debate whether Anonymous and QAnon are actually two different things or one in the same, and realistically the answer, it doesn't really matter. But if you want to split it into two different things, both are Psy-Ops, which is what's important. So looking at this from the QAnon perspective, you have the Order of Quetzalcoatl, which is a Freemasonic order, and is colloquially known as the Q, and is a Masonic invitational body. And basically you have to be a Shriner to join. And essentially, in order to be a Shriner, you have to be a Freemason. So, essentially, this is something that has a little bit more qualifications. You can't just sign up at the Order of Quetzalcoatl, essentially. So, essentially, now I'm going to look at a more close perspective as to what Quetzalcoatl actually is and what that means. Because essentially, the whole idea of Q is that it's a giant distraction, and you're essentially left with the sense of hopium that Donald Trump is going to save you or something. I don't know, trust the plan. Anyway, so it says, so let's look at the myth itself, or at the collection of myths. To begin with, there is the name, which has analyzed many years ago. It has formed Quetzal, the name of a rare bird with green feathers inhabiting the highlands of the Chiapas and Guatemala, and Cotl, which is the Nahuatl Indian language, means snake, but which in essence is a combination of co, generic name, or serpent or snake in the Maya language, and atl, meaning water. The Quetzal was a great bird regarded as the most graceful of all. Its name means the most precious or the beautiful bird. Quetzalcoatl is symbolized by the plumed serpent that may be depicted on many ancient temple ruins in various parts of Mexico. So for one thing, plumed is a very old and perhaps dated word that means decorative or decorated with feathers. And as well, I want to apologize for the pronunciation of certain words that I've just butchered. And now moving forward to talk a little bit about, now moving into the Anonymous section of the Psy-Op here, which revolves around a man we know as Guy Fawkes, or perhaps pronounced Guy Faux. The gunpowder plot is the inspiration for all present-day false flags operations it mentions here. And it says that on November 5th, 1605, Guy Fawkes and his Jesuit co-conspirators planned to decapitate the entire English government. And it says that on November 5th, Fawkes planned a big bang to decapitate the entire English government by planting 66 barrels of gunpowder in the Parliament cellar. Now, it mentions here that it mentions here that Pope Paul IV in 1605 was one of the fanatical popes here, and he basically issued a license to kill to all those who participated in the gunpowder plot, and said that they were doing a holy work most pleasing to God. Now, this is quite interesting because we see a lot of people love to wear the Guy Fawkes or V for Vendetta masks and use it as a symbol for freedom, but make no mistake, it's actually nothing more than a Jesuit logo, as I'm basically identifying here. It says the most ubiquitous symbol of resistance to the New World Order is the Guy Fawkes mask. From the hacker collective known as Anonymous to Occupy Wall Street, anyone who wishes to strike a blow for freedom while in public demonstration is wearing one. Masks were popularized by the 2005 movie V for Vendetta. So, the act of blowing up British Parliament was a false flag operation in and of itself, and even though the day is actually celebrated every year on November the 5th, it's actually nothing more than glorified Psy-Op, where the Jesuits were trying to take out the Protestants, and essentially it's just more like a giant facade, if you will, because the English royal family at the time was just the Protestant face of evil, while the Jesuits are the Catholic face of evil. Religion is just simply used as a smokescreen and a cover, because all fraternities, they end up shaking hands with one another anyway. So it says Guy Fawkes Day is also referred to as Guy Fawkes Night, Bonfire Night, and Firework Night, and it's celebrated in Britain every year on the 5th of November. Remember the 5th of November to commemorate the failure of a plot to bomb the House of Parliament. And it says that every year on the 5th of November, people light bonfires and set off fireworks. And most people are unaware that the celebrations actually mark the failure of the Catholic Church to destroy Protestantism in Britain. And the gunpowder plot is also known as the Jesuit treason, which is also a little known fact. And originally the effigies of the Pope were burnt, but were later replaced by Guy Fawkes. And it was celebrated in the U.S. and was described as the Pope Night because of the effigies of the Pope and the Devil being burnt. So I just think that those ones are interesting. And now I'm going to go on to talk about the term white hat here. And I'm going to talk about Manly P. Hall. Basically, he is recognized as one of the world's leading scholars in the fields of religion, mythology, mysticism, and the occult, and many great minds have been attracted to his work, including Carl Jung when writing his Psychology and Alchemy. So, Manly P. Hall is a Freemason. Now, I will say that he does share a lot of information revolving around secret societies and revolving around history and things like this. However, you do have to exercise discretion when hearing from a Freemason yourself, because the fact of the matter is, people who are parts of these fraternities generally have very big egos and say things because they are simply smart and egotistical, not because they actually care about we the people. However, it doesn't mean you shouldn't look at their information. Just use discretion is all I'm saying. So, it mentions here that a book of his, which is The Secret Teachings of All Ages, it has aspects of multiple religions, cultures, Rosicrucianism, Freemasonry, Illuminati, philosophy, and ancient history, and more, and explains how secret societies have existed for thousands of years, and how information, knowledge, magic, and other abilities, which are believed to be mythical objects, have been in the hands of people who have hijacked these teachings and used them to steer the will of their desire for power, ego, and more. And he explains how much of the powerful people are engaged in these activities in their quest for world dominance, but the white hats of these and other secret societies have been busy trying to combat the rise of the use of magic for evil purposes, control, and world dominance, and have always done so. If you say so, Manly Hall, I respectfully disagree with that one. I think that the term white hats and black hats are nothing more than a term of illusion and actually are referring to Freemasons, just like when someone says Q, they are unknowingly referring to the Order of Quetzalcoatl. When you think of black and white, you think of the Masonic checkerboard floor, which is in every lodge. They have checkered floors, by the way, black and white, symbolizing duality. And as well, there's the symbol of the square, which I have covered in various videos. So, anyway, I'm going to leave a closing on this one here, and let me know your thoughts about Covfefe Bakery, because I really don't think that they are baking cookies down there. Thank you for watching, everyone.